Well, hello, my friends. This is Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. And I'm coming to you, and as many of you know, in such a after a horrendous storm, and so many are displaced and needing help, and so much damage, I'm telling you. So, our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts go out, and whatever help we can send. And so we just want to be mindful of that. I'm coming today because I have been putting off doing this, not because I wanted to, but because there's so many books in my little collection here, that I thought I'd go ahead and do this book review of books that I have and that I bought and have enjoyed for a number of years by Rita Weiss. And she has this nice collection of books. And the next couple of tutorials, and we've done some before, of course we've used the books, some of the books. I thought I need to go ahead and do that, do a book review, because I really enjoy these books. Now, as you can see, I've got them all stacked up here. So I thought the best way to do it is just to start with the ones that I haven't used as much, or still I haven't really done anything with them, and work back to the ones that we have used before and that I will be using in the upcoming 2 or 3 tutorials that I think you will really like. Well, first of all, I will put a link to Rita Weiss so you can read about her and all of that. You know, I'm not a historian. I don't go back and do all that. But, you know, she's just been ever present in, if you're a knitter or crocheter, you know, you may have done some of the stitches that she has in some of her books and not even know that it was her. Just like Darla Sims, you know, if you're a crocheter, well, everybody knows Darla Sims. Well, if you're a knitter, most people know who Rita Weiss is. Usually she does works with Jean Linehauser, but you know that came to an end. But so I wanted to go through and show you the books that I have in this set. This group of books was published by Leisure Art Books. And so to get started, I wanted to, well, first of all, I thought I only had 6 of her books. See, this is what happened when you have so much stuff. I kept saying, oh, I don't think she's done another book. Oh, I don't know. Well, lo and behold, I was looking for something else. See, you're always looking for something else when you're going through your stuff. And I reached down and I picked up this book and I said, well, that's one of the 50 Fabulous. This one is 50 Fabulous Knit Baubles, Popcorn and Puff Stitches by Rita Weiss, by Leisure Art. And I thought, well, does that go with the other set? And really it does. It says 50 Fabulous. That's what the others read. So I was so surprised that I had a book that I had not even used. I just misplaced it because I got so much stuff. But now it's found, and I want to quickly start with this one and then work my way back to the ones that we have used before and that are going to use. So as you can see, it's a very nice book. Maybe I can just slide the other ones over now so that it won't sit up so high, and hopefully, let me check my camera and cause such a glare. Oh no, that's good. Very good. Okay. So I just want to kind of run through some of these books and just show you and how they're set up. Well, first of all, I want to read you something. I'm not, you know, these are, you may be able to find some of these in some of the stores, you know, but you have to kind of go online. I know Amazon may have a few here and there. You have to search. Of course, the lace one, everybody's up the price on it. So you may have to pay a little more for it. But some of the others you can find at a really low discount, or some of the used book sites. So if you have some book sites that you use, you know, for used books, there's a Libris, there's Valor Books, there's others. You can always check them out and see if you can track them down. Okay, but to get started on this first book, I'm going to read you a little of the introduction because this is just amazing what she wrote, and I hope she doesn't mind me reading a little bit of this. Introduction. It says, oop, I hit the camera, sorry. If you are tired of working the same old knit and purl, can you see that? I'll just read it because knit and purl stitches, now is the time to try something new. How about adding texture and embossing to your knitting with baubles, popcorn, and puffs? Yes, that's exactly what we're looking to do. In this book, you'll find a collection of 50 fabulous textured stitches which you can use in many different ways. For sweaters, for hats, for purses, for baby clothes, for anything that you love to knit. Now that's us, isn't it? Add a few popcorn stitches to a border. Make an entire purse with swirling baubles. Make a baby's bonnet with petite puffs. And once you start using baubles, popcorns, and puffs, there will be no end to your creativity. And that's what we do. So, right off the bat, we know that she's talking to us. It says, now I want to go jump down a little bit. It says, what you won't find in this book is any mention of gauge. That's because you can knit these stitches with any weight of yarn you choose. From the finest lace weight threads to the heaviest bulky yarn. The project will display a new dimension depending on the yarn you choose. And see, that's us. What you will find in this book is the word multiple. Something that we've already been covering. At the beginning of each stitch. A multiple is the number of stitches needed to work one complete unit of the pattern. If the pattern says multiple of 6 plus 2, you will need to cast on any number of stitches which can be evenly divided by 6, or 6 will go into. For instance, 12, well, 2 times 6 is 12, 18, 3 times 6 is 18, 24, see? And you keep going up 30, 36. Then you will need to add the plus 2, so you will cast on 2 more stitches to that total. Giving for an example, 12, you add 2 more stitches, that becomes 14. 18, you have to add 2 more stitches, that becomes 20, and so on. It is important to remember that the plus number is added only once. Just like we've been doing. Just like Jay's been sharing with you. Make some swatches with these patterns. That's what we want to do. You are sure to enjoy creating new and different stitches. That's the easy part. The hard part will be making a selection as to which of the pattern to use in your next project. Ta-da! And that's why we're here doing a book review on Rita Weiss's beautiful collection of her 50 fabulous collection stitches. Does that make, what is that? Isn't that great? Doesn't that make sense? Okay, so I just want to read a little of that just so that you can see, because I know you, as you have shown, you really know that I use what I, if I bring you something, I use it because I've enjoyed it. I've spent my own money. I'm not, affiliated or anything. I've spent my own money, and I use my own money to buy so I can enjoy these books. And I'm just simply sharing with you of all the things that I made out of some of these books. What do you think of that? First thing you'll run into after we finish that little section of introduction, here's her beautiful Pictionary. All the books are set up this way, where there's nice little small pictures, so you can kind of see where or what, kind of stitches are contained in the book. And like I said, I'm not going to go through everything because I have all these books to go. But then as you turn to the actual stitch, you see there is a large swatch of fabric to represent or to show the stitch to make it stand out so that you can really kind of decide, you know, if that's the stitch you'd like to try. Now, the publishers do this. You know, she really doesn't, you know, authors don't really do that, but they have someone that sits down and decides on the background, the color, how they're going to do all this, how they're going to set it up so it'll run, so they'll be able to run volumes of books, you know, thousands and thousands of books. But some of the colors they picked out the background pages sometimes steals the excitement of the stitch. This green on green, you really don't really get the whole nice stitch, and you'll see that. That's the only thing I found. Whoever set it up, you know, like I said, I'm no expert, but, you know, I know that, you know, this kind of drains the stitch. You don't even hardly, you know, you don't see the excitement of it. But now look, watch this. Look at the difference on this stitch. The person or whoever that set it up in the company, not her, you know. Now see, this bounces off and automatically this stitch pops out, and automatically I thought, oh, I want to do that stitch. She calls it hanging puffs. Now, as I've said before, most stitches, or a lot of stitches, are in the public domain. That means you can find them anywhere, in other books, on other sites, in library books, books across the world, just everywhere. And when you run across a stitch, sometimes you say, well, I saw that stitch somewhere else, but it had another name. Well, they just take it and you put a name to fit whatever project, I guess, that you're working with. I don't know how that works. But just like, you know, when I take a stitch, I, you know, made a name for it. I did lemons and lace. You know, lemons and lace for a thing. Or one time I did steampunk cables, you know, because that was my theme. But I showed you where I got the idea of the stitch, or the version of the stitch that I use. And like I say, if you don't have this book or you can't find it, there are plenty of other books that would have this stitch. It just may have a different name. All right, so as we go along now, I don't want to dally, because now what I've done is to, let me make sure now that I got the book open, let me back out just a little bit, just so it's just not such a glare. Just a little bit. Now, all right, I thought what I would do is go through, and as I looked and shared this with you, I would put little markers of stitches that it's on my to-do list. Now, it may be at the bottom, because you know we have a lot of projects, and I've got some things coming up. I hope you're going to like them. But I have wanted to do this stitch, so I'm sure I will be working. You know, I don't like to bring you things that I don't do. So I don't want to waste your time, nor do I want to waste mine. But as I flip through, you can see it's just a very nice stitch book, just like a lot of other ones. But I just like this little group, this setting of hers, because I like to collect books, and it's just very nice. Look how nice my book looks. I've got one or two that I wrote in, but most of them are nice and clean, just like this one. Look how nice and clean that is. I try to take care of my stuff. I don't know who will get it after I'm gone, but all right. So here's a lot of, like you said, but as I was looking through, a lot of these I probably wouldn't do. Not because I don't like the, you know, I like the book, but when you're already kind of puffed yourself, you don't want to wear too much popcorns or puffs. Do you understand? Do you get my drift? If you're already kind of puffy, the last thing you need is to be puffier. So I wouldn't do a lot of these as any garments. I don't know. I might could think of things that I could maybe use a stitch or some kind of way. But they're still really pretty. But I don't want to be puffier. Except I found this stitch, and I really like this stitch. Now she calls hers baubles with leaves. Baubles with leaves. And so I put a little mark here, because that is one I think will do. Now there are 20 rows, but that's not, like I say, it's at the bottom of the list, so that gives me time to think of something, and maybe I can come up with something that well, it'll still be 20 rows, but not real hard maybe, that I can use it. But that's one to put on my list. And I'm just going to flip through, like I said, swirling baubles. That's all I needed to be fluffy and swirling at the same time. So, but as I flip through the book, like I say, if you're a collector, or, you know, since I didn't know I had this one, I didn't know why I bought it, but I guess just because it was part of the collection and it had her name on it. You know, and some of these that have 24 rows, don't worry, I'm not going to drag you through 24 rows. We won't be doing stuff like that. You know, but every once in a while you'll find something. And here's one called Pine Burrs. And that looks interesting. Now that could be something really cute. I don't know yet. I have to see. And Baubles with Arches. That's pretty. It's only 16. But this is a glimpse of this first book. And like I said, I'm working backwards. The ones that I have not used till we get to the ones that we're going to use a lot. So let's go. That's just one. I'm going to pop it over there. The next one is, it's the 50 Fabulous. Let's see, can I get in? Okay. 50 Fabulous. This is the Garter Stitch one by Rita Weiss. And, of course, this one is pretty much set up the same way. She has a nice introduction here. Now, this book, I noticed the date that it was put out was around 2012. That's why I probably forgot it and just stuck it somewhere else. All the rest of the books that I'm going to be showing you came out around 2009 to 2010. So that may be why I forgot about it. But introduction, but still, they're set up pretty much the same way. There's the Pictionary, just a nice little snippet of what's in the book to give you a little quick preview. And then, of course, you go right into the swatches. And like I said, this one is garter stitch. So every pattern in here is worked with some type of garter stitch in it, in the pattern. Here's crisscross. That's really nice. This is not one that I have used because I really don't, you know, I try not to do a lot of garter stitch, you know, just on purpose. And I don't like a lot of reverse stockinette, you know, so if I can, you know, but like I said, that I still bought the book because I wanted the set, the collection of them. But anyway, you can see as I just kind of flip through this one, you know what garter stitch is. And if I'm going to do garter stitch, I'd rather try to learn a hard lace or do something else if I'm going to put the time in. So this is the number 2 Knit Garter Stitches by Rita Weiss. All right, the next one. Now we're getting a little closer. Now this is the 50 Fabulous Knit Ripple Stitches. I like ripple. We haven't done ripple yet. I don't think we've done anything ripple. It says you might call it a ripple or a chevron or a zigzag or a wave. Whatever you call it, it has peaks and valleys that add visual interest to the stitch, which is probably why it has become one of the most popular of all knitting stitches. Throw in endless choices of color combinations, and you can see why this technique has become queen of the knitted Afghans. And that's pretty much what I think, you know, in my mind, that I used to use ripples or chevrons, like you said, you know, went back in my Afghan days. But this book is very nice, and I see a lot of things that I may be able to find other things besides Afghans. Maybe a lot of some shawls, things like that. But as I flip through, here's one called Twister. It's only 8 rows. Isn't that pretty? It's a multiple of 12 stitches plus 1. However many 12s I want to do, and at the end of that total, I add plus 1. Looks really pretty. Has nice little peaks, but of course the top has nice peaks. That's why it would make a pretty shawl, maybe. So I could see that. Yeah, you know what? I could see that as a really pretty shawl. You know, I'm not much. I guess you noticed by now, I'm not much for all this color changing. That's just me. You know, I fall into the I fall into the ho-hum world of solid colors, don't I? It's not that I don't want to. It's just, I don't know. I have a hard time trying to decide what colors go with what. So, but as you can see, there's all type of ripple stitches. Now, I did put a mark. Oh, that's pretty. But now see what I would do. And if you and I, decide to make a kaleidoscope shawl, I would just use some variegated yarn or something like that. Or one of those, you know how the fade colors that just run right to, like those mandalas, all that type of yarn, where it just changes by itself. Then I wouldn't have all those ends. I would just be all day trying to figure out, well, which color goes next? No, do I want the pink? No, do I want the green? Well, I'd waste so much time. I'd rather just get it in and let the yarn do the work. So we'll try it and see if it works. So this is kaleidoscope. That's 16 rows, but we've done 16 rows. We've made it through. We could do that. That's really pretty. That would make a nice shawl. Oh, yes. So I think shawls, I'm gonna make this a shawl type book, since I really don't do Africans anymore. All right, so we're moving on, but I did put a marker on this pattern. She named it Lace Dreams, because this is one that I had worked up around my birthday when I did that yellow shawl, Lemons and Lace, and then I didn't like it, or I don't know what happened. I found that other pattern, and so I took all that out. I undid it. I just pulled it all out. Started the shawl. Well, I found I like the shawl, so I'll go back to this. It would make her very nice, but now it would have to be summer. It made a beautiful lacy summer top. So that's one I marked so that I could go back and remember. Now that's pretty. Now that would just be a beautiful Afghan, wouldn't it? Ripple rectangles. Really pretty. All right, so let's move on to, let's see if anything else caught my eye. I tried to go through before I came on the video. Oh, wouldn't that be pretty for Christmas? Simple ripple. Oh my gosh. What could we do with something like that? Very simple, but lots of texture besides an Afghan. Have to think of that. Now, if you see stars, you know, sometimes if you'll see stars, remember I said, you know, I'm like a kid, so I buy those stars, the sticky stars. So if I've ever used a stitch, I try to remember, I forget sometimes, but I try to remember to put a star by it so that I know that I have used that stitch, that I like the stitch, that it was a great stitch, and it will be fun to use it again. See, otherwise you forget it. If you're like me, if you have a lot of books. But now I know by this star, oh, this overhead, of course you can find arrowhead lace in any book. It's out there. But I just wanted myself to remember that I had used this out of the book. So, that pretty colors. See, I would just try to find some kind of, some of that yarn that just stripes on its own. I cannot be putting all them colors together. Oh gosh, that would just slow me down. Now this one I marked. This one is called Rose Garden. Now I really like this stitch. Like I said, I've got it in other books, but she calls it Rose Garden. And I even found some yarn. I'm going to open this up. I found some yarn. I had maybe thought about it back in the spring, but I didn't get to it this time. But look what I found. This is a color. This is Red Heart Soft. You know, I like Red Heart Soft. It's the one that I use. You know, it's number 4, and we use a number 8 needle most of the time, you know. And let's see if there's a name on here. Oh, look. Rose Blush. Rose Blush. And as soon as I saw this yarn, I thought of this stitch. Now, you see how your mind works? Wouldn't that be pretty? Now, I don't know what I'd make yet, if this would be a sweater or a vest or some kind of beautiful top. But, you see, one thing leads to another. Isn't that nice? So, I've already got the yarn for that. just by looking in a book, just by dreaming. So there's all Heritage Ripple. Look at that. Oceanic Ripple. Let's see if I got another marker, and then I'll go into the next. Oh, this one. And this is the last one I'll do in this book. This is called Classic Lace. And it is 14 rows. That's not bad. This will make, I just see this as a beautiful sweater. Look at that. Wouldn't that be fun? And there's a few baubles. Just enough baubles. Just to be fun. Not just, you know, baubles everywhere. But I like the points. I like the design. And I like the color. You know, I'm a green person. So wouldn't that, a multiple of 14 plus 2. Let's see if there's anything strange besides the baubles. I like everything except double yarn overs. It's not that I can't make them. I just hate the big ugly hole it makes when you have to go around twice. But I don't see anything really strange just by glancing here. I see there's no purl row, so this is lace. You know, there won't be a rest. You have to work every row. Right side, wrong side. Every row would have to be worked. Oh, well. Good things come to those who work at it. So I'm going to put this on the list down at the bottom. We will revisit this classic lace in this book by Rita Weiss. Knit Ripple Stitches. All right, the next book. This is 50 Fabulous Stitches. And, of course, it starts with our little Pictionary. Now, this one I did write in. So I apparently bought this one. Maybe it was one of the first ones I bought. But it has some very pretty, you know, knit stitches. She's just showing you different knit stitches. The mock cable, that's real pretty. See, I wrote dishcloth. I was into my dishcloth days. Thank goodness I'm out of that. But let's see if I did mark a few. But it's mainly stitches that you're accustomed to, that you, like I say, you'll recognize right away. The cockle shell, the eyelet leaves. So these are just basic stitches here. Traveling vine, gooseberry. We never do all that. I can't do all, that would drive me nuts. Little blossom. That's pretty, but like I say, when you're already puff size, I'm really mindful of the stitches, how it's going to look on my body. It's not that I don't want to do them, but I just want to look good in whatever I take the time to make. Oh, this is pretty. Garden Glories. But it is 34, so we will skip on over this one. We will not be doing Garden Glories. Too many rows. Oh, look at all of this. Oh my gosh. Too many baubles. That just, like I said, that would make me look even puffier. Oh, some of these are strange. Here's dueling banjos. Well, I don't know too much about banjos, so we'll pass. Hanging baubles. This one is more for looky-loo. I call it looky-loo. Now, but here's one that I have worked before. See, when Jane used to write in her books. See, I'll show you what I did. Look at that, and then I tried to erase it. See, look, can you see it up close? Look what a mess it is. Jay, don't do that. So I don't do that anymore. But this is Rocky Road. Well, that's what she calls it. And it's only 10 rows. And I've done this stitch before. I can't remember what I did, what I made with it. It's been some time ago. Not on the YouTube, but just here at my house, you know. But it was a fun stitch and really nice. So I think we will visit this stitch again. So we'll put this one on our list. It's only a multiple of 10 plus 2, and she calls it Rocky Road. I believe I started a sweater. I believe that's what I started with that. And then we move on. Like I say, most of these are just, she's just showing knit stitches that you have seen. Here's hearts, though. Look, writing in my book again. Like I said, this is back in my old days. Now, hearts, I put a star by it because I have used this for Valentine. Not only for a dishcloth, but I think I made a scarf or something. This is like way before I got on YouTube. So now we will have to revisit and maybe do something for Valentine's with the heart. A pretty sweater, maybe figure out a way to add the hearts. So it's only, how many rows? 12 rows, that's good. And it's a multiple of 11 plus 2. Let's see if there's any double yarn overs real quick. Nope, I don't really see any. Good. I just cannot stand that big hole. Well, look at this. Everyone does leafy columns. You can find that in just every book you go to. And that's really nice. And I'm sure we'll do that on down the road somewhere. Arrowhead. So that brings us to the end of this one. Now, as we get ready as I show you the last 3, let me reset my camera because I want to show you some yarn too. The patterns. Not only did each stitch have a special meaning, but because the sweaters were supposedly worn by the local fishermen, each family's sweaters were knit with a unique design so that if the fisherman's drowned, oh God, his body might be, get my glasses on here, I can't hardly read this one, might be identified when it washed up on shore. I love the thought that cables like those on page 22 and 48 represent the Bible. Oh no, represented the fisherman's robe, while basket weave, page 8, symbolizes the fisherman's basket filled with his plentiful catch. Oh, it's just full of symbols. Oh my gosh. The Bible has expressed in the Trinity stitch, page 24, and we'll look at some of these, and the Tree of Life, page 9, which symbolizes the path to salvation. Diamonds like those on page 42 and 64 were the shape of the fishnet, so they indicated success. Look at that. A lovely story, but unfortunately today's historian tells us that it is all a myth. It's not true? Well, that's what she said now. I'm just reading. Oh, is that not true? I thought I read that on YouTube too. Because there's one website where they interviewed this lady, well, maybe that was something else I was thinking of. Maybe that was another one. Maybe that was a Shetland Island. I like to read. I try to read through things. But she says, a lovely story, but unfortunately, today's historians tell us that it is all a myth. It is not true. I always thought that too. Isn't that something? Well, we'll have to just check it out. Okay, so here we go. Now, of course, there's just so many cables. I got to start doing more cables. We'll do more cables. I just have to be in the mind to do cables. And I have to figure out where to put them because, we're fluffy. And believe me, you don't want cables running everywhere. I would never just put cables everywhere. I got to find where I'm going to put them first. I have to kind of check it out. But the book is full of beautiful cables. Now, you're going to remember, let me hold this up so the glare. Here's a picture. Here's your small snippet of pictures. And of course, then once you go into the book itself, right off the bat, here is the cathedral cables. I'm going to pull that in just a little bit so we can see some of this. I want you to see the detail. Okay, so now this is really pretty. It's only 17 rows. And as I glance through it, it is knitting on every side, right and wrong. Now, I can take some of this, but just not a whole sweater full of it. Because, like I said, it would make me look really, it just wouldn't fit me, fit my body type. But as we go through, you'll recognize some of the names, basket weave or tree of life, like you say. These are just stitches that you can find in other cable books. Here's cable circles. Now that's a pretty cable. It's a panel of 20 stitches. So that would be real pretty, kind of to go up on each side of a sweater. I wouldn't mind that. Double cables. Now this is 22. I'm not that involved. Honeycomb is very pretty. A little bit is enough. Now, do you remember this one? You remember I did the edge cable? Remember when I did steampunk cables? Remember I used this one, and I called mine steampunk cables. And I worked this pattern out of this book because it didn't require many rows, and it's not really very hard. But when I put it with the theme, I'll link that video if you haven't seen it. But when I put it with the theme of steampunk, it was amazing. It looked just like steampunk. It looked like gears and all of that. So that was and it was fun to knit. Didn't take long at all because it's just not that hard. So that's one. What do you think of that? Do you remember that now? Isn't that pretty? Okay, so let's see. But as I've been going through, I've been putting marks of things that I think I might like to try. Like I say, I'm not going to be doing an all-over cable sweater because it just would not flatter my body at all. But a taste of something, it's always, it's always good. So for this book, I know that this book, I want a sweater or a yarn that's going to hold the texture, that is going to be heavy enough to make the cables pop out. So I use just my regular yarn and Lions brand. This is Vanna's Choice. This is my winter weight sweaters. Anytime I want to make something, you can say what you say, but I can go get, I found this on sale over at Hobby Lobby's in the little clearance thing. But I have a whole bunch of this color. This is called, I believe it's Dusty Green. I can go a year from now and go and match the same color up. I've done it. So Lions Brand they did a wonderful job with this particular yarn. I don't know I can't vouch for all their yarns, but this Vanna, this particular selection of yarns, she has lots of colors. She gives good yardage. You can match it up. A year later, you maybe had to stop, and then or you got busy, or the life got in the way. Then you found something you want to go back and finish it. You can go back and match the yarn up, and it's a good price. So for what I do, it doesn't bother me. So I know that I will be using a lot of Vanna in all the colors, that I have up on my wall. My new, I made my new, put my yarn up on my shelves, but it will hold the shape of this cable. Just make it pop. And I also put down this one, the lobster claw. Only because there weren't but 4 rows on this. Look at all that. I just couldn't believe just 4 rows. So I started reading through. I thought, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be fun to do? I'd have to come up with something. So I already know I have this in all the colors. Like I said, as soon as you like something, though, usually they'll start changing it. So please, Lion Brand, don't start changing and messing with the yarn. Just give us more colors. Don't mess with the yarn. Oh, now here's something. Circle cables, but now we're not going 30 rows any place. So we can just X that one out. Here's another 30 row. We can X that out. So I do have to be careful when I pick out a cable that it is going to be something that I will wear, enjoy doing all the work, and then after I do all that work, will it flatter my body, or is it worth my time? And I wouldn't dare spend my time with people that are not knit worthy to give them something that I've had to spend a lot of time, especially like cables. That stays with me. So this is just the book. I didn't put another let's see if I put another mark. I didn't put another one. But I still wanted to add more cables this year. I just couldn't get everything in. But we will continue to try. Now here's a pretty, this is called Rich Cable. Ooh, that is rich too. Oh, it's only 16 rows. We could handle 16 rows. There is no purl row, so every row will be worked. Well, we can just kind of figure out some way to add it to enhance a sweater. But as you can see, there is lots in this book. This is the 50 Fabulous Knit Yarn Stitches by Rita Weiss. All right, and it's my heavyweight yarn. All right, so we can put that up. Now the next one is the 50 Fabulous Knitted Borders. Now you should recognize this because this is the one I've used this just recently. And this is just one of the little samples that I had worked with. This is where I got the pattern for my lemons and lace shawl. This is one I had started and then I didn't like it and I changed the border, remember? I changed the border on it. So a lot of times when I create something and maybe I thought, oh, maybe I, do something different. A lot of times I'll keep the sample. It just helps you to remember things and gives you new ideas. So instead of taking it all apart, I had enough yarn. I decided to keep it. It says, have you ever finished a project and thought there was something missing? Or have you planned to make a project that you found in a book or magazine, but felt that it needed a little something more to make it just perfect? Often knitters don't think of the obvious answer, a decorative border. Knitted borders are fun and easy to make and can be the final touch that turns a project into something truly fabulous. So here's her knitted. Here's the knitted border book. And of course, we've taken, like I said, the one I just finished, lemons and lace. But there's a bunch in here that I like to do. They're very simple. These are not over the top. Now, there's a lot of sites that I can go on to get some over the top. But we hadn't got there yet. I'm coaxing you into, rippling mesh. I'm step by step as we graduate from one project to another. From one stitch to another. Here's Seashore. That's pretty. Fluted lace. You really have to have some to be able to wear all that lace. I don't want to be my grandmother's. Have my grandmother's lace. Okay, rippling lace. Isn't that pretty? Now here's the one that we used. She called hers scallop lace. Remember that? Let me go in just a little bit more. She called hers the scallop lace. And I just simply turned it into lemon-like drop lace because of the little pattern. Because of the little lemon drops in the center. Well, I called them lemon drops. Isn't that pretty? And it was only 6 rows. All that work. That's how I judge sometimes how to pick a pattern or a stitch. I look at how many rows. Okay, like, all right, this is not bad. It's 5 stitches. It's only 5 stitches wide. Okay. And it's 6 rows. That's okay, but, I'd prefer something more like this, where I have 15 stitches and only 6 rows. I like to have more stitches for the pattern, the stitch itself, than I have rows, or, I don't want to wind up with something. Maybe I'll run across, I'm sure I'll run across one in just a minute. But until I do, let's go on. Here is diamond mesh. This is really pretty. I was working on this for something, and then I got sidetracked and had to get a video. I had to stop and get a tutorial up. And so I put it down, so I'll have to go back. It is called diamond mesh. Can you see that? It looks like a tulip or a flower or a leaf or something. But it is real pretty, and there are not any double yarn overs. That's good. Okay, so here is lace squares, and then here's royal lace. So you can see there's quite a few. Just, I've seen them other places, but just really nice, easy to follow. The patterns are easy to follow. like I was saying, oh, now here's a sample. Here's an example of what I was saying. Like, all right, this is wavy stripes. That's what she's calling this stitch, wavy stripes. Okay, on this wavy stripes, there's a cast on of 12 stitches. Well, 12 stitches is about that wide, okay? But in order to do this repeat of the 12 with the 12 stitches, you've got to go 20 rows. That to me, I'd rather have more stitches and less rows. Does that make sense? I'd hate to have to do all these rows for these 12 little stitches. That's how my mind works. Let me find another. Let's see if I can find another example. Oh, here's one. Let's see. Oh, this one's good. All right. For instance, this one is Peaks and Valleys. Peaks and Valleys, and it's a cast on of 7 stitches. But in order to work those 7 stitches to get this pattern, you've got to work 17 rows. Now to me, that's like a lot of waste. I'd rather have something more like, woohoo, just right here, next door to it. This is called, let me make sure I'm on camera, slanted leaves. In this pattern, you get a cast on of 17. Well, 17 stitches is wider, more like that. But you only have to work 11 rows. So that's something that I look for when I am trying to pick a pattern, one of these border stitches, one of the knitted borders. I try to find something that has a nice wide border, but you don't have to work as many rows. Does that make sense? And I'm sorry I keep sliding my book. Look, I've used this book so much, look, I've worn it out. It has come apart, so I need to fix that. So, if I came to this page, instead of picking this one, Peaks and Valleys, I would pick this one. I'd have a wider lace and less rows to work. Does that make sense? Now, I went ahead and marked a couple of, I think I marked a few in here. But here is one that I think would just make a beautiful shawl. She calls it Elegant Lace. Now, this is nice. There's 15 cast on, so that's pretty good. And you only have to work 13 rows, which is just great. Close to the, it's not so many rows that you're just going to get so tired and not finish it. So 15 stitches to work with, but you only have to work at 13 to get the pattern, get the design. Isn't that pretty? Look at the leaves and all that is just in 15 stitches. See? Now, I like that. Where on this side, this little old lace, not very wide. It's pretty, but it's only a cast on of 10, but I have to work 17 rows to get that stitch. That would be something I'd put on the back burner. I'd do this one, the large one first. I would do it. Now, let me go on and let's see what else is in here. There's all type of, now here's some of the stitches that are worked lengthwise. We haven't done anything that long and that involved, and it will probably be on down. We have to put that really on the list, on the back burner. Here's an eyelet insertion that will make a great front edge of a sweater. So I'll have to remember this. It's only 12 stitches, and it has nice lace going up the front, which will make great buttonholes. So let's put that on. We'll put that on something. We'll make that a front edge of a sweater or a shawl or something. See? Easy to remember. And as we go on, it's just full of more lace. I marked another one. Grandmother's lace is really pretty. I think we will do something with this. There's a cast on of 20 stitches, but you only have to work 11 rows. Now, isn't that pretty? Oh, I can see that kind of for Christmas in that red. That's really pretty. That's great. And here's more pretty points. I don't know yet what I'd do with that. But I just wanted you, here is gathered veils, connected cables. So this is one that, like you see, I've just worked it and enjoyed it so till I've just taken the cover off. And hopefully you will like this one too. And hopefully you will join me in trying to, fit more borders onto some of our knitted pieces. All right, and last but not least, Okay, last but not least is, and I just dropped my yarn, let me get that. There we go. All right. This is the 50 Fabulous Knitted Lace Stitches. Now, this is the one that's on Amazon that they've marked the price up, a lace book. So if you find it somewhere at a good, really low price, you can check Amazon first and see what they're charging for it. Then if you can find it on a used site, then you might come out better there. But they have ratcheted this price up for this lace book. But this is the one we're working in, and this is the one I work in a lot. And it's familiar lace stitches. It's not anything really outside of the norm. Like I said, I just bought it because it's part of the set. And her patterns are nice and easy to read. They're easy on the eye. They're easy to understand. And but they are very basic. These are basic. So if you're new, still new, then like I said, these are basic stitches. They're not going to throw you, or you're not going to waste your money. So I marked a few. Double rose leaf. Could be a beautiful shawl. Look at that. The only thing is, if we made a shawl like a rectangle style, we would have to knit all the way up to the back neck, stop, go to the other side and start at the bottom again and knit up, and then either Kitchener stitch them or 3-needle bind off to put it together, so that we'd have the nice points. But you can see these are old German. This is stitches that, like I say, you've seen everywhere, a lot of other places. Here's some practical lace. That's nice to know how to do something real simple. Fern lace. Lace fronds. So these are just very oh, here's fishtail. I've used that several times in other places. Lace in and out. This is by another name in other books. I forgot the other name, but I don't know why she calls hers in and out, but it's by another name. You'll find it by another name. It's fir tree or pine tree. They said, I did read the reference on this, and for some reason it's spelled F-I-R, but it's like a pine though. Like pine cone. There's a stitch and it's spelled the same way, F-I-R. And I kept thinking, why are they saying that? So I had to go on YouTube and I had to go and look it up. But as you can see, there is a lot for us to do. And the stitch that reason I'm doing this and say this to last, because this is the next tutorial that I promised. This is Print of the Wave, and this was the version that I used. I used her version. I used her stitch out of this book. And it will be the next tutorial. And I hope you like it. It's a surprise. It's really pretty. And I put my little star there. And it's easy to follow. It's multiple of 28 plus 2. So I won't tell you any more than that. You're going to have to wait. And I would love to do a beautiful shawl in this. Leaf and trellis. Because of the pretty edging on each side. Isn't that pretty? And it's 17 rows. It's not bad. But there is pattern. Nope, there is a rest row. So there's a purl row. So that will be fun. And of course, Dayflower. You see a lot of people have used that. I haven't used it yet, but I guess I will. Chevron lace. That's really pretty and easy to do. I think I've used it on some other things. Leaf cascade. So there is a wealth of great things in these books, and I have already picked out some yarns out of my stash, of course. Here's some of that Isaac Mizrahi that I have about 3 skeins. Let's see. There's 328 yards, and I bought it when Michaels was getting rid of it, and I got at least 3 skeins, and I bought several colors that they had at the end. And I would love to maybe do that shawl. I would love to use some of this up. This would be pretty in the chevron lace. Now, wouldn't that be great? There's a little glitter in here. And this is a number 8 needle. Isn't that pretty? But I could go up to a 9 to make it drape better, couldn't I? Sure could. Oh, now this is 14 rows, but that's all right. It's really pretty. Well, I hope this has given you enough to kind of let you know what these books are about. And I just really wanted you to see the kind of, since I had these books, and if you're looking for them, you know, what to look for, or, you know, how to just kind of decide if you can't find, you know, everyone, just maybe you can find one or two to put into your library. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I have enjoyed it. I just love these books by Rita Weiss. I hope that you give them a try. If you're going to knit and crochet with me, then I'm going to walk you through it. And so now I'm working on the next tutorial right after this. And we're going to do Print of the Wave. And I think you're going to like it. So this is Jay. This is her book review on these beautiful books by Rita Weiss. I thank you so much. Let's see, can I get them all over here? I thank you so much. So, until we meet again, happy knitting! And see ya!